What I'm wondering about, Ellen, is I've noticed that in your practice you use a lot of different materials. You use plastic bottles and use technology. You use very dense imagery that's figurative, and you also will do something that's fairly abstract. Can you talk about what your process is that responds to, I imagine, a site in that kind of complexity?
Right. I mean, the public works always respond to a site. I think the plastic landscapes that I showed are, in some sense of the word, a kind of a non-site. They're nowheresville landscapes. They could be anywhere and nowhere, which is, I think, you know, one reason why the use of scale, the tiny little oil rig, and the sense of a sort of a distant perspective, I think, makes them more migratory, more nomadic in their way of being in the world, let's say. And literally, they are wandering. I wander to collect the material, and then the pieces themselves wander. That's totally different from having to sort of glue yourself to a wall in St. Louis and to sign on the dotted line that it's in perpetuity, God damn it, you know? It's like you're under a legal contract to provide something that will last for a long time. And the two different ways of thinking, I think, kind of complement each other. And that's a somewhat of a deviation from your question, but it does take in the question of time and how the work exists, you know, in time, really. I would say that the sculptures are more single-minded. They don't allow themselves the same degree of freedom. And also the material itself is very restrictive. I mean, you can't get a plastic bottle to do anything. It will only do some things. And it's only this big, you know, and the thing that there's no limit on is that there's absolutely no shortage of them. And for those of you who are in this neighborhood, I probably have your bottles in this work, as you know. And I can get about 100 bottles in 45 minutes in 3 blocks. If you had any doubt of how much of it is out there, it's just totally wild. We're drowning in this stuff. So it's the volume of it alone is quite amazing, I think. And when I'm in my gleaner personality, and I think the gleaning is a really good sort of metaphor to talk about all the work. It is nomadic, but you know, my eye becomes like a magpie building a nest. You know, half a block away, I see my stuff in a bag, and I'm there. And when I'm in that mode, it's hard for me to walk down any sidewalk past a hotel in Manhattan. I mean, I could be on my way to a party, but I see that stuff, and it's like, you know, so you become a collector, a reuser, a remaker, a sort of a weird reinventor. And one of my tasks when I'm on the street doing this, I did bump into Sasha one day, and I was quite delicately embarrassed about the fact that I was going through her bag. And I said, I'm sorry, you know, you're not supposed to know me, but I'm doing this. But I try very hard to kind of normalize it, because the way people look at me is that they avert their eyes, and I am in that realm of homeless or marginal people who must do this. So you know, people have said, well, why don't you document yourself? And I'm like, you don't have a camera crew in this delicate social environment. I greet everybody by looking them in the eye, and I really try to normalize what I'm doing. And I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that the gleaner is, for me, the active metaphor for both the drawings and the sculpture, and to some degree the public work as well, because it does have a really broad base to it.